Okay, this video is aimed straight at the prepper crowd. Now, if you're a homesteader, you might think this video is not for you, but I encourage you to stick around. You might be able to learn something from this video that you could apply to your situation, and at the very least, you might find it entertaining. Hey everybody, welcome back to Grumpy Acres. I was cleaning out a computer recently, and I found some documents that I had created well over a decade ago, probably 2010, 2011 time frame. And one of them was entitled 12 Lessons I Learned from Ship Clearing Ops. Now, this document grew out of a conversation I was having with a veteran friend about CQB, close quarters battle, also known as building clearing. I was regaling him with sea stories about my adventures, telling him when I was on Marine Corps Security Forces. So, if you didn't know, many moons ago I spent time on a U.S. Navy carrier, the USS Ranger CV-61, as part of the Marine Detachment. Here's a photo of me. I think we were manning the railings. I'm on the far right, by the way. I think we were manning the railings going into Perth, because that's the only time I remember wearing dress blues while we were manning the rails. And normally we wore camis or the mod trolley, which was the short sleeve khaki shirt with the blues trousers. Anyway, part of our mission was vessel boarding search and seizure, VBSS. Simply put, we would helo in, place boots on the deck of a ship, seize control of the target ship, and then secure it. After this, Navy inspection teams would board the ship looking for contraband. Now, it's been years since I did this, and VBSS doctrine has certainly evolved. Tactics have been honed, and equipment has most definitely gotten better. Back then, the doctrine for clearing a ship was essentially the same as clearing a building, with some notable exceptions. Number one, the only ingress-egress routes on a boat are from the water, from the sky. There's not much to choose from there. When using helos, you're always assaulting from the top down, and unless you were a first-tier spec ops team, achieving any kind of stealth on the approach was hard to come by either way you went. Also, the bad guys cannot be motivated by fire and maneuver to willingly vacate the target. These things aside, the nuts and bolts of clearing operations aboard a ship are pretty standard. Clearing a space is clearing a space, whether it's a wooden frame building or a ship's compartment. And if the Navy ever exercised this option, it would have been executed against a hostile target. Luckily, we were never called upon to do it, although... Before we go on, if you're new here and you're not a subscriber, I want you to think about subscribing to our channel. We don't just do prepper videos. We do homesteading videos, and all sorts of different topics pop up all the time. We've got a saying around here: homesteading is the ultimate expression of preparedness. So if you're a prepper and you're looking to become more free, going the homesteading route is where you want to go. And by subscribing here, we can share our experiences with you, and we can share our community's experiences with you and help you along that route. Okay, with that said, without any further ado, here are 12 lessons I learned from ship clearing operations. Number 1, intelligence. Gather as much intel on the target as you can. Now, in our situation, in the age prior to remote drones, direct observation of the target ship while underway was extremely difficult to do. Putting eyes on it while it was moving out in the open ocean was a very big task, as you can imagine. A leader's recon by helicopter was probably the best we could get. Most of the time we relied on secondhand intel, usually garnered from the ship's intel department or our copy of Jane's ships. Number 2, standard operating procedures. VBSS, along with traditional CQB building clearing, is not something that can be done off the cuff. We had standard operating procedures, also known as SOPs, that provided a framework for our plans anytime we conducted an operation. And our command structure incorporated all the pertinent intel into the plans and adapted them when and where they needed to be. Number 3, team structure gives flexibility. Our assault force was broken down into 3 different teams. We had assault teams, designated marksman teams, and prisoner handling teams. We mixed and matched these teams to fit the needs of the mission. For a larger ship, like say an oil tanker, we had the option of using every single team, which was 4 assault teams, 3 designated marksman teams, and 4 prisoner handling teams. For smaller ships, we could use fewer teams, the smallest assault force being 1 of each team. This gave us great flexibility. Number 4, practice. The old adage of you play as good as you practice is true. We rehearsed each aspect of potential operations until we were sick of the whole process. Half-stepping through this workup can cause problems down the road. Committing the actual movements that take place during a clearing operation to conditioned reflexes frees up your head to concentrate on the threats you will face. Number 5, check your gear and have spares. Once an operation starts, finding out a piece of gear is broken or missing is the wrong time. At sea, there is no running a spare from the rear up to the front. Broken or missing gear can mean the difference between life and death. Number 6, violence of action. Once an operation starts, it should be executed with extreme violence of action. Being confronted with violent and overwhelming force at the very outset will put your opponents on their heels. Do not let the pressure off until the objective is secured. Taking your foot off the pedal any time before that will allow the enemy a chance to compose themselves and regroup. Number 7, communications are vital. Now, we did these operations in an age when the PRC-77 and handheld walkie-talkies of limited range was all we had access to. Developing a communication plan beforehand is paramount. You need to be flexible as well. Once the operation has started, situations may arise where through no fault of your own, communications may fail. As an example, the very first time we did an operation off the ship onto another ship as a practice run, we found out that our walkie-talkies were not working on the same frequency as what the Navy helos that we were using for support did. So we had to, on the fly, come up with hand signals that we could use from the helicopters that were orbiting the ship to the teams that were on board the ship. In the end, it became part of our SOP. Number 8, bullets ricochet and go through things. Now, this sounds rather commonsensical, but it's important to remember. Bullets tend to bounce around a bit more on board a ship. Modern ships, after all, are nothing more than big metal boxes. We use M16A2s as our designated marksman rifles because the 308 would zip right through the half-inch steel used on the bulkheads on most ships. Understanding how bullets behave after they leave the barrel of a gun will help keep you from being someplace where bullets may travel. Now, this is just as important to remember if you're inside a wooden building or inside a concrete building. You need to understand how bullets behave after you shoot them. Number 9, seize key elements. It's not important to seize the entire objective all at one time. What you want to do is have your forces concentrate on seizing key elements or points on the objective at the outset. That should be the very first goal. Once these are seized, you can go about clearing the rest of the objective. Now, in the case of a ship, we would seize the primary and secondary nav bridge, we would seize the engine room, and we would seize the communications room. Once those key elements were secured, we would go about clearing the rest of the ship and ensuring everything was secure before the Navy inspection teams came on board. Number 10, a 3D battle space. We live in a 3D world, and 360-degree security is vital. Changing elevations and protecting from attacks from all directions must be practiced. Now, on board a ship, it's nothing but a warren of passageways and hatches, and getting from point A to point B, you can go by many routes, way more routes than in a building. You know, it's one lesson that the U.S. military had hammered home from its time in Iraq. With the heavy urban fighting in places like Fallujah and the fighting in urban insurgency in Baghdad, the lessons of a 3D battle space were driven home with a vengeance. Number 11, consolidate. Once the objective has been seized, you need to consolidate your position. You need to regroup, redistribute important items, and make sure that everybody is okay. If you've taken PWs, consolidate them and perform the 3 S's: search, secure, and separate. Number 12, lessons learned. After the operation is over, no matter how small it is, hold a debriefing as soon as possible. Every member of the team should share what the operation looked like from their perspective. If possible, notes should be taken and lesson learned document should be compiled and distributed. The lessons should be incorporated into future training and plans. Well, that's it for the 12 lessons I learned from ship clearing operations. Now look, I was not some high-speed, low-drag operator. I just happened to be a young Marine in a time and place when things were changing, and it was very exciting. I got to do a lot of stuff that Marines outside of the special operations community had not really done before. And these lessons are not simply lessons for the run and gun crowd, the professionals to use, and they don't solely apply to VBSS operations. These lessons are ones that can be used by anybody. You know, you may find yourself in a situation where they're needed, and in today's crazy world, we never know when that may happen. All right, so keep that in mind, and just think about going out and practicing this stuff. You know, I'm too old and fat to go do this on a regular basis now, but if my pocketbook could handle it and my body could handle it, I'd still be out there paying people to train me how to do this. That's how important I think this is. Okay, I hope that if you didn't find this video informative, you at least found it entertaining. I enjoyed making it for you. Hit that thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that you like this type of content and you want to see more of it, not just from our channel, but from everybody's channel that makes this type of content. Hit that notification bell so you know when we put more videos out. We don't solely do prepper videos. We do homesteading videos and cover all the aspects of being a homesteader and building a homestead. And we do this, we mix the two because, as I said before, homesteading is the ultimate expression of preparedness, and we're on a journey to become as prepared as we possibly could be, and we want to share our experience with you so that you can too. All right? As always, go out and live a life done free, and take care. Thanks, Milo.